Some announcements. June 23rd, which I think is next Sunday. Doesn't it feel like time is going really fast?
It's because you're old.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's what Lori says.
It's true. Summers when you were little just went on forever and ever, right? Right? It's just now it's like, whoa. The sun's moving really quickly in the sky, but it's just being the sun doing what the sun does. So the sitting is June 23rd, and it's at my house. Then in July, we are not having an all-day sitting because a good number of us are going to Tassajara for Sangha Week. There may be an opening if...
Yeah, it has been claimed. That the one opening has been claimed, but there's still one other opening available. And it's been in all the newsletters and all the announcements, but ask me.
Yeah, so if you're interested in coming, it's a wonderful opportunity. Be in touch with Gretchen. And then our next all-day sitting after that will be in the very beginning of September, which will also be the yearly Sangha Jukai. I think 7 people will be taking their vows. But at the Sangha Week in July, Yael, who is part of our Sangha and who was down there for practice period this last time, has asked, and we've been given permission that we're going to do her Jukai there. So we'll get to do a Jukai at Tassajara at Suzuki Roshi Memorial. So that will be wonderful and special too. And a Jesus ceremony there too. So come if you can. And we'll be here as we always are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and different Sangha people will be offering different things along the way. And next month it will be way-seeking mind talks from some brave souls. I'm trying not to look at anyone.
Give it away.
Some brave souls will be giving way-seeking mind talks, which is always really lovely way for all of us to get to know each other more deeply. So the Vimalakirti Sutra, early Mahayana Buddhist sutra, using primarily calling on Joan Sutherland's Vimalakirti in the Awakened Heart, a commentary on the sutra that Vimalakirti speaks, and Thich Nhat Hanh's commentary from the Bodhisattva Path. They're both lovely, and I'll be calling on both of them today. I was thinking, when I first found out about the Bodhisattva archetype, I was so happy. Bodhisattva as someone whose life is devoted to service, whose life is devoted to caring for self and other and the world, that knows that their life is profoundly interconnected, radically interconnected with and for all beings. And then I remember someplace along the way someone saying to me, pointing out to me, that what a bodhisattva most fundamentally knows is emptiness. And I have to admit that did not make me happy. Because bodhisattva archetype seemed to me like something warm. And emptiness to me always felt like something cool or distant. And how do these two things reconcile themselves? But that seems to be the point, and what Vimalakirti is teaching, is when you think or name one thing, it's of course it's going to bring up the opposite, because that's how we know things, is we know this because of that, and without that then there's not this. So of course what I was doing in my own mind was trying to figure out what this is, which is good. I mean, it's taken me on a path that will continue forever, and I'm sharing it part of it today through Vimalakirti. But it also asks us to take a leap. It's a going beyond. It's something that includes both and is bigger than and neither. neither nor, all of the above, none of the above, and the mind can't grasp it. Anything, really. Because anything we grasp or name, it makes it into something which makes it smaller than it actually is. And that a bodhisattva, the heart of, you could say this tradition, or the heart of being alive is to be alive. Which means it's in the living of it. And it's in the vow that's at the center of it. And it's in the returning over and over again to deep ground and the question of what is it and how do we live this life deeply and truly all the way through. So Joan Sutherland, one of her little chapters is called Bodhisattvas of the Tilty World. Then she quotes Vimalakirti, because we are born and we die, there is illness. So I think just a reminder, Vimalakirti is, we are all visiting Vimalakirti who is sick. So there's some say he's pretending to be sick. I think he's really sick. But he also knows he's not really sick, because Vimalakirti knows how to hold these opposites. And he's taken all the furniture out of his house. The room is empty. It's now 10 by 10. It's not the grand house that it was. He's a lay person laying in his sick bed. And Manjushri and multiple, actually 32,000, I think, bodhisattvas and monks and lay people are all crammed into this little room, and Manjushri, who's the bodhisattva of wisdom, is the only one who has enough nerve to actually be in conversation with Vimalakirti, because everybody else says, no, I tried to talk to this guy, and every time I said something, it seems like essentially what Vimalakirti was saying is, that's not quite it. You're still caught in dualistic conceptions. Which is, I mean, these are the big bodhisattvas. It's like, hey. So Vimalakirti is fearless, and so is Manjushri. So when Vimalakirti begins to speak from his sickbed, it's with absolute, unquestioned, unmitigated, unbuffered, uncompromised allegiance to this world. And his illness is part of what he has allegiance to. For the purpose of this story, Vimalakirti's is a physical illness, but it could just as easily be any kind of dis-ease. Anyway, we're off balance, internally or in our relationship with the world or with the world's relationship with us. When Vimalakirti talks about illness, he's talking about whatever's tilty in our lives. And he's saying that that quality of tiltiness isn't the problem, that it's fundamental to this world. If our world is already a pure land, if this is already, Buddha's established this is a pure land, this is Buddha's world, this is Buddha's body, the whole world is Buddha. Whether you believe that or not, the Buddha is saying this is the pure land, the Buddha land. It's also simultaneously a tilty, pure land, where we're constantly being rocked and never quite find center. This is a beautiful normalization. We just keep wanting to think it's us, it's our problem. If we could finally get it together, it would get untilty and we would find stable ground and we know who we were and we would be in charge and we would be in control and the world would look way better than it looks right now. Okay. We're constantly being rocked and never quite find center or find it only for a moment before we get knocked off balance again. It's a very compassionate worldview, isn't it? Because it doesn't leave anything out. It doesn't say, You have to get over that to finally find compassion, to finally find love or wholeness or goodness. It's right here, and tiltiness, every brand of tiltiness that you can come up with is part of it, but none of it's exactly what you think it is. So Vimalakirti then, one of the most famous things that he says in the sutra is, I am sick because the whole world is sick. I am sick because the whole world is sick. John Sutherland calls that bodhisattva sickness. Here's a little bit about her commentary on it. Vimalakirti is saying, here's my condition out of which everything else flows. When I can touch this without twitching, abide here without fleeing, what naturally flows into me from the sea of the world is bodhicitta, the intention towards awakening, because my awakening is the world's awakening. I am waking up because the whole world is waking up. What flows into us is the world's yearning, which we experience as our own. The aspiration we feel isn't towards something outside ourselves. The aspiration, the yearning, is it. Bodhicitta is to wake up, to know the truth, to embody and live with and for all beings as an ongoing intention. When we can touch this deep intention that includes everything, which means touching suffering, a bodhisattva begins to be born. A bodhisattva gives birth to themselves, something that happens every time a person like one of us does something. First, you find arising in your heart the intention to awaken, so that you can discover what you uniquely do that's helpful in the world. That's bodhicitta. How can I be of help? How can this one little person, me, be of help? And then you make the commitment known as the bodhisattva vow to put that intention at the center of your life. This is it. I don't know how to do it. I don't even know what it is. But my heart and my deepest yearning just says yes. A bodhisattva is born not by becoming instantly and completely awake and skillful at everything. Good news, folks. Constantly bestowing wonderful gifts on others, but simply by having the willingness to put this commitment at the center. That's what Vimalakirti is modeling and being. I'm just here. I'm sick because the whole world is sick. If this is what's come to me, if this is my body, if this is my experience in this moment, then this is how I'm helping. It's helping me wake up, and I'm helping you wake up by not turning away or fleeting or twitching or noticing when you are twitching in the center of it. And then spending the rest of your life figuring out what that means, provisionally, imperfectly, every day. This is how a bodhisattva, a yearning and intention, enters the world of birth and death for the sake of all beings. We begin, and then the birth is midwifed by our family, our loved ones, our co-workers, our companions on the way. And I would say including all of the problems and all of the things that irritate you and all of the things that think, I would be such a better bodhisattva if that person would just stop doing that. All the ways that we talk to ourselves, right? Vimalakirti finishes what he's been saying to Manjushri by saying, when everyone is liberated from illness, I will be too. I hear in this a fundamental allegiance to life as it is. I'm like this because the world is like this. You're like this because the world is like this. If the world changed and we were able to release ourselves from illness, none of us would be ill anymore. But as long as we can't, as long as the world looks the way it looks, or the way we perceive it looking, And as long as we identify with our delusions and with our solidness of I'm a separate person and you're a separate person and everything that goes with that, as long as we're still in the process, the world and everybody else, I'm in it too. I always feel like, whoa, yeah, sorry. I get pretty excited about that. But then how do you live it? Because it's a practice ground. Because we all know the possibility of, I'm going to get burned out. This is too much. I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I mean, the 100 million other things that come up through our conditioned personality that say, that sounds really great. My heart says yes, but I have no idea what this means or how to live it. So that's why they're all in the room with Vimalakirti. That's why they're risking walking into this room where they know there's somebody dangerous, because he's going to keep pushing them beyond the edge of what they know and what they're comfortable with, including us. So now I'm going over to Thich Nhat Hanh, and I'm going to quote more directly from the sutra. So Manjushri says, Manjushri keeps asking fearlessly Vimalakirti questions. How should a bodhisattva comfort bodhisattvas who are ill? What do you do and how do you help in this world? I'm ill, you're ill. How do we bring comfort to this world? The world is ill. Body brings us, this is so much, we just studied another sutra, an early sutra, Anapanasati Sutta, did I say it right? And breath, body, mental formations, remember all of this? It's right here. It just keeps saying the same thing over and over again. Manjushri said, Vimalakirti says, the bodhisattva should say that the body is impermanent. It's going to change. It's going to be sickness, aging, and death. It's changing all the time. It's not what you think it is. But you should not feel disgust with it because of that and develop aversion for that body. You can say that the body suffers, but do not encourage the other to abandon this body in order to enter the peace of nirvana. I'd like to just get out of this suffering, please. I'd like to be peaceful. I'd like to be comfortable. You say that the body has no self, but you invite the other to go to the realms of suffering in order to bring living beings to the shore of liberation. So we're encouraging ourselves and each other to enter, to hold the duality of this body isn't what you think it is. It's ephemeral, it's alive, it's energy, it's moving, it's interconnected with everything else. But when you perceive it as solid and sick or aching or whatever you think it is, dying, whatever it is, don't feel disgust for it. Don't judge it. Don't pull away from it. Be with it. This means that the bodhisattva accepts the truth of impermanence but does not reject the things that are impermanent. We accept there is suffering and we do not run away from suffering. That's the bodhisattva vow. We accept the truth of no self but use this person to enter life and liberate living beings. And someplace in here, I think Thich Nhat Hanh says it's an attitude. It's a view. It's a view that goes beyond a view. It's a practice place of just here, just this, just bow. We were talking about this on Tuesday, and I asked people to come up with different words for the ground of this. People said love. People said acceptance. People, do you remember anybody else who was here? I can't remember. But so what is this?
Clarity. Yeah.
Clarity. What is this basic ground that we keep coming back to? Trungpa called it basic goodness, that's Buddha nature. That's the ground in which practice is oriented. So, the body, You should remember the times when you have been ill in order to have compassion with those who are ill now. So in other words, no matter what happens, it softens your heart, it tenderizes you. So we begin to understand, I can understand you because I can find that in this self. And this self is an illusion anyway, but I didn't like it when I was ill and it hurt and I wanted it to be over. And my heart opens and becomes more tender to you. Okay, the other thing is, that's brought forward, is mind. A bodhisattva who is sick should consider this. Sickness comes from the afflictions and wrong perceptions. Do you remember in the Anapada Sutta about perception and about wrong perception? Wrong perceptions that we have accumulated in the past. And the root of these afflictions and wrong perceptions is the idea of a separate self. The root of it over and over again is I'm over here and this is me, which sets me up against the rest of the world. And the antidote is to keep looking deeply, which is what we do in Sangha, which is when we practice, when we zazen. What is this? What is it? It's an ongoing curiosity and wonder about the truth of this life. And then there is, I'm bringing forward some of the language that I really like in this. The idea of dharmas, of things, is a form of upside down thinking. It's a great, these little phrases you can just take with you. Oh, that's some upside down thinking. Now I have to say that my own little squirrely mind is, because there's been a lot of talk about turning the flags upside down, and then there have been a lot of I'm going political on you a little bit, but on Facebook and other posts I've seen pictures of Supreme Court Alioto, is that who he is, upside down. And I look at it and it makes me laugh because I think, oh, it's an acknowledgement, not just he, not just the flag, but everybody and everything. We've all got these upside down views that we're all just willing to go to the map for. But the question is like, what happens if you know that the way you're looking at the world is inherently upside down because you've got your own little view, and the whole world is swirling and alive and revealing and full of creativity and possibility, and you're just hanging upside down. You take a breath and you come back. You could maybe entertain yourself sometimes by not just thinking that it's that dumb other person or flag or whatever your opinion is. It's just, what is it to be here in the midst of this upside down world? And the advice is, practice letting go of the idea of a self and what belongs to a self. The way of practice starts again from the beginning. Self is I, and what belongs to self is mine. Me, I'm over here, and I've got it right. Which is not to say don't do something, but it's the ground. Is if you're fighting upside down with somebody else who's upside down, the world's just going to keep being more upside down. Moments of insight and clarity, compassion, love. Maybe we can all just keep turning this world into a pure land. Okay. A few more things. Can you take a few more things? A few more phrases and things that I think are entertaining and wonderful in here. Vimalakirti brings forward that you've got causes and conditions, you've got the world, and they're also empty. This is Nagarjuna, who's an early thinker about, teacher about emptiness. All dharmas that arise are causes and conditions, but I call them empty. They can be called designations. We just grab something, we're making something into something. Can you hear Wayne okay? Is that okay?
He's been having trouble hearing.
Okay. But what you can be, what the designations can be, as you're in this world, operating in this world where we all are, is you can call them the middle way. That's what Buddhist practice is finding the middle way. Because another name for emptiness is the middle way. We can call all dharmas mere designations, and we can also call them middle way. The middle way takes pairs of opposites and realizes they are extremes and that they do not describe reality. Being and non-being are two extremes. There is a self, there is this world. There's emptiness, there's emptiness. There's two extremes, those are opposites. You only can know one because you're setting the other up against the other. Sort of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're extremes, they're opposites. And there is a middle way. The middle way is interbeing. How do we be here, interbeing along with all things? Moment after moment, it's obviously practice because our mind is always, we're not going to get over this, as far as I know. Maybe, but I don't expect it in this lifetime. We're going to see things in twos. So practice is not two. Practice is coming back. Practice is what is the middle way, not as a mental construct, but as a way of living and being. And then, okay, I like this language too. No inside and no outside. No inside and no outside. We remove two wrong views. What are these views? The views of a subject that is inside and an object that is outside. Me, you, my internal world, and you're out there bothering my internal world. If these two are removed, there is no attainment, there's nothing to get, there's nothing to push up against, and it can be talked about as no inside, no outside. That's another little practice frame that you can just take with you. You're just in the middle of nowhere. You're caught, once again, in a tilty world, and somebody whispers in your ear, the Buddha in you whispers in your ear, no inside, no outside. What happens? I don't know. But it's the same world, but it's completely different. And what that does then is it frees you to enact skillful means. Skillful means is how do we act in the world from a place of no inside, no outside, from vow, from compassion to this is a pure land, this is a land of love, and what is the appropriate response? The question always is what is skillful means? So I think it's really beautiful that Thich Nhat Hanh in here says, that's called making life beautiful. An authentic bodhisattva knows that part of the practice is making the practice center a place that has an ambiance of beauty. A bodhisattva will plant flowers. Whoa. And take care of the plants, making the people who come to practice or wherever you are happy. So you're making the world beautiful. And let me go over to Joan, and then I'm going to hand it to you guys. She calls this acts of small compassion. We think of small compassion as the detailed, the particular, the local. It's the way we live and interact in this fragile zone of earth and sky that includes this rocky planet, the thin layer of organic matter under our feet and the surrounding air. We in our human flesh attempt to deal in decent and helpful ways with the flesh of others. Other humans, other animals, the flesh of plants, even the flesh of nuclear reactors. We're using our embodiment are in materiality to affect the embodiment and materiality of others. Flesh on flesh. That's a small view of compassion, and that's no small thing. She calls that endarkenment. Enlightenment is more aspiring, and darkenment is just like be here in the flesh, in the body, small acts of kindness. What is it upside down? No upside down. It's upside down, no upside down, no inside, no outside. What is it? How do I live this? And, she says, endarkenment is letting your heart be broken open by the world. Spontaneous, local, humble, an awareness of the fundamentally unknowable mystery and the unfathomable gift at the heart of everything is great endarkenment. There's an exchange going on. You let the world affect you. Experiencing compassion first as a willingness to be pierced by the poignant blade of life, and you allow yourself to have an effect, letting what is good in you flow from that pierced heart to the other. This all makes me happy. Does this make you happy? I hope this makes you happy.
It's love
It's love.
for me.
And it's a beautiful encouragement, because the part of me that thought, oh, practice is cold or distant or emptiness or whatever that idea is, that it's something other than just this right here, right now. It's living it alive and awake right in the center of it. And Vimalakirti is just one more bodhisattva saying, yes, I will. So, got a little bit of time. Let's go into groups of 3. Anything about any of this? What's the question that I... could talk about? Endarkenment is letting your heart be broken open by the world. You could talk about skillful means is knowing how to make life beautiful. What does any of that mean to you? Or what does this mean to you, just living your life? How does this enlighten your life? How does it endarken your life? What's the living of this? In this moment, what's it mean to you? Okay? Or anything else you want to talk about. And I'm going to